From an airplane or satellite view of the Earth, there are no borders, only a wonderful mosaic of colours that delineate the Earth's natural regions, the grasslands, prairies and tundra. The boreal forest is the largest of these natural regions. It wraps itself around the top half of the Earth, from North America to Europe and Asia. As our society generates more and more greenhouse gases, which warm the atmosphere and threaten to change our climate, scientists from around the world have turned to wilderness areas for answers. They created BOREAS, the Boreal Ecosystem Atmosphere Study. Russians and French, British, Canadian and Americans, each an expert in one small part of the problem, with NASA space missions giving literally an overview here in Prince Albert National Park.
The BOREAS project actually is one of a series of projects which have been carried out internationally. What we're trying to do is to take the whole Earth's surface, divide it into a patchwork of different biomes, and say, how does each one interact with the atmosphere? What we really want to be able to do is to quantify the role of the boreal forest in the bigger picture. In other words, the Earth as a system.
With BOREAS, we're trying to understand how the boreal forest and the atmosphere work with each other to produce the local climate and the climate around the top half of the world. And we're doing this because we think that with increasing CO2, the climate might change, particularly in the continental interiors and close to the poles. So the scientific sort of consensus is that we'll see the largest changes in the boreal forest, more than any other ecosystem in the world. Then we have 4 aircraft that are completely different. They're equipped with probes and little instruments that measure the exchanges of gases between the surface and the atmosphere. And most of these guys sort of fly a kamikaze route above the forest, just a few feet above the forest, and they measure what's going in and out of the forest over quite long distances. Everyone assumed you wander around the boreal forest and you get water up to your knees and you fall over and do face plants and it's wet. But that's not what the atmosphere sees. What the atmosphere sees is mainly the sunlight hits the surface and just gets turned into hot air rising off the forest, thermals and things, and not much evaporation. It almost looks like an arid zone when you're flying over it. You wouldn't be surprised to see that over Spain in midsummer. You are surprised to see it over Canada in the late spring, where you expect to be damp and wet and just a lot of moisture in the air.
From the smallest leaf to the tallest tree, from snowflakes to beaver ponds, everything measured from the ground to space. 11 research teams established flux tower sites. Each one covered a different biome, a different portion of the boreal forest. There were tower sites at beaver ponds, in fens, amidst jackpine forests, and one in an aspen forest.
This site was chosen because of the large expanse of aspen trees here. It's quite visible from a satellite, for example. And they were looking for a large homogeneous stand of aspen trees. They were doing measurements right at the leaf level, say looking at the photosynthesis going on with a small clump of aspen leaves, right up to the tower level where they're taking measurements showing the overall exchange of carbon dioxide and energy, and then satellite measurements going on. So it was scaled up, really, at a variety of levels.
The amount of data collected in BOREAS is absolutely mind-boggling. You can appreciate that if you measure something 20 times per second for a year, that you have a fair amount of data. Then all that data has to be integrated with all the other data that was collected during BOREAS. Each one of us in BOREAS was dependent on other scientists for the full picture.
And when all the studies are complete and we understand the interaction between the boreal forest ecosystem and the northern climate, will we also have some answers to the controversial issue of global warming?
We have to be patient, and even after we know how each of these biomes work, which may take another 10 or 15 years, we still can't answer the question about global warming with certainty, because there are many other processes which we have no control over. But this information is vital if we're going to make more accurate predictions.
We have only been on this planet for a blink of a solar eye, Yet in that short time, we've changed the chemistry of our atmosphere 100 times faster than is natural. Perhaps here in Prince Albert National Park, there is a chance that we can learn to catch our breath and change our ways before it's too late. Here we are less likely to be overwhelmed by nature. There are no mountains nor any oceans to dwarf us. This is a world writ small enough for us to grasp. If we can but learn from it, we can appreciate that this ecosystem is a portrait of life itself. For more information, visit our website on topoftheworld.net.